Genghis Khan, the extraordinary conqueror and founder of the Mongol Empire, was a pivotal figure in world history. His influence extended far beyond military achievements, reshaping political, economic, and cultural relationships between East and West. When he unexpectedly passed away in 1227 during a campaign against the Western Xia, the Mongols' ambitions of expansion and grand plans were left unfinished. This raises an intriguing question. How would world history have changed if Genghis Khan had not died prematurely? Before his death, Genghis Khan had laid the groundwork for the conquest of all China. The Jin and Western Xia dynasties were under tremendous pressure, but the Southern Song dynasty remained a formidable challenge to unifying this vast territory. If he had lived another decade, with his unparalleled military genius and authority, he might have achieved his goal of defeating the Jin dynasty and advancing toward the conquest of the Song. The earlier unification of China under Mongol rule could have profoundly reshaped the country's history and triggered significant changes across East Asia. Chinese culture, technology, and ideas might have spread more rapidly, while the influence of the steppes and Central Asia could have penetrated the core of East Asian civilization more deeply. The Mongol Empire's expansion caused immense human suffering. Millions perished, and numerous centers of civilization were obliterated. Architectural wonders, libraries, and knowledge repositories of the Islamic world, Persia, and Eastern Europe were destroyed during these conquests. Had Genghis Khan continued to live and lead, the scale of destruction might have been even greater, potentially plunging humanity into a prolonged intellectual dark age. On the other hand, the unification of vast territories under his rule could have stimulated trade, transportation, and governance, creating new opportunities for development in the conquered regions. Genghis Khan was renowned for promoting commerce along the Silk Road. The connection between East and West might have accelerated and deepened, paving the way for an era of early globalization in human history. Not only was the East within his sights, but Genghis Khan also left a significant mark in the West. His campaigns extended across Central Asia, crushed the Khwarezmian Empire, and opened the path to Eastern Europe. If he had lived longer, he might have intensified military campaigns in Europe, driving the Mongol forces beyond the rugged mountains and complex territories. With their flexible tactics and superior organization, the Mongols could have posed a serious threat to major kingdoms like the Holy Roman Empire or nations such as France and England. However, Europe's challenging terrain and fortified defenses could have presented substantial obstacles. If Genghis Khan had succeeded in penetrating deep into Western Europe, the region's political structure, cultural evolution, and economic development would have been drastically altered. Following his death, the Mongol Empire rapidly fragmented among his sons and grandsons, leading to prolonged internal conflicts. Had he lived longer, his presence might have prevented such divisions, preserving the unity of the empire. However, over-reliance on a single leader could have left the empire vulnerable upon his eventual passing, especially without a robust succession mechanism. Genghis Khan is one of history's most controversial figures. If he had not died in 1227, he might have further expanded the empire and left an even greater legacy. However, this expansion would likely have brought unforeseen consequences, including intertwined destruction and progress. World history would undoubtedly have taken a different path, but the extent of the divergence would depend on how Genghis Khan balanced his ambition for conquest with his ability to sustain long-term stability within the Mongol Empire. One of Genghis Khan's greatest achievements was uniting the fractured and often warring Mongol tribes. Through his exceptional leadership and sharp political vision, he transformed these tribes into an unprecedentedly cohesive force. Employing clever policies, such as rewarding loyalty with land and enforcing strict discipline, he maintained order within his ranks. If he had lived longer, he might have implemented additional measures to solidify centralized power and ensure cohesion among future generations of Mongol leaders. A prime example of his leadership was his regular organization of Grand Council meetings to address critical issues, from territorial division to military strategy. These meetings were not only opportunities to set strategic directions, but also platforms for resolving potential conflicts, maintaining unity among his family members and loyal generals. From a historical perspective, if Genghis Khan had survived for a few more decades, the Mongol Empire could have reached even greater heights, with vast territories remaining unified instead of fragmenting upon his death. This extended leadership might have prolonged the empire's prosperity, enhancing trade, cultural exchange, and political stability across the conquered regions. Ultimately, Genghis Khan's power and influence were not solely rooted in his conquests, but also in his ability to construct and sustain enduring political structures, an achievement few contemporary leaders could rival. Lastly, his legacy highlights the tension between violence and development. While he was a ruthless conqueror, he was also a visionary leader in organization and governance. His clear military strategies, scientific policies, and reward systems forged a powerful, united army. If he had lived longer, he might have continued to strengthen these policies while building infrastructure and transportation networks across the empire, sparking breakthroughs in economic and cultural development. Controlling an empire of such vastness and diversity of peoples and lands posed immense challenges, even for Genghis Khan. Interestingly, his wars not only influenced society and politics, but also significantly impacted the natural environment. According to Julia Pongratz, a global ecology expert, the wars led by Genghis Khan drastically reduced atmospheric carbon emissions. The deaths of millions and the abandonment of vast tracts of farmland allowed forests to regrow, absorbing more than 700 million tons of carbon. Scientists have likened this to a cooling phase of the Earth, in stark contrast to the global warming of the industrial era. In conclusion, had Genghis Khan not died prematurely, world history might have taken a different trajectory, with profound global implications. The Mongol Empire's expansion could have been swifter and more powerful, leaving deep impacts on Asia, Europe, and the Islamic world. However, the challenges of managing such a massive empire and the consequences of relentless conquests would still have been unavoidable. Whether living another decade or more, Genghis Khan remains a symbol of greatness and contradiction in human history, a figure whose life and death offer invaluable lessons for posterity.